How are you tonight? Are you feeling safe and cozy, curled up in your favorite chair or snuggled tightly under your blankets? Tonight, we're going somewhere that doesn't exist on any map you've ever seen, somewhere the hills are soft and gold in the evening light, where the rivers run quiet and the towns have names that sound like something half remembered from a dream. Once I'm done telling you this story, I will play it again for you at a slower pace and a softer volume so you can drift off to sleep. Let your body settle, let your shoulders drop, let your hands rest where they are safe and warm. There's nowhere to go tonight except deeper into rest. So take a slow breath in and let it out. Good. Imagine a road. It is a gentle road, just packed earth worn smooth by years of wagon wheels and unhurried feet. It winds through a wide, open valley, following the curve of the land in a lazy way. On either side, meadows stretch towards low hills. The grass is the long, soft kind that moves in waves when the wind passes through it. Here and there, a tree stands alone in the meadow, round and full, casting a circle of shade on the flowers below. The light is the golden light of late afternoon in a kingdom called Solon. Solon is a quiet kingdom. It's not a kingdom of wars or dragons or grand magical quests. It is a kingdom of good bread and mild weather and people who know their neighbors' names. Magic exists here, but it's the gentle sort, the kind that makes apples particularly sweet or causes certain old bridges to hum softly when you cross them. Walking along this road, carrying a satchel that is slightly too heavy and a walking stick that is slightly too tall, is a cartographer named Oswind. Oswind has been commissioned by the kingdom's librarian, a small, precise woman named Helga. Helga has very strong feelings about the inadequacy of existing maps. Oswin is to spend one full year walking Solon's roads and byways and creeks, measuring and noting and sketching. His goal? To produce at the end of his journey a complete and accurate atlas of the kingdom. This is the work Oswin was born for. He has been a map maker his whole life, and there is nothing he loves more than the slow, patient act of turning a place into a page. Tonight is the end of his 43rd day of travel. He comes to the village of Bream just as the sun is touching the tops of the western hills. Bream is a small village, perhaps 40 or 50 houses, arranged around a central green where three large oak trees grow so close together their canopies have merged into one enormous shade. In the middle of the green, there's a stone well with a wooden cover, painted blue. Chickens move purposefully across the grass. Somewhere, someone is frying onions while children turn over rocks to study the little treasures that might wait underneath. Oswin stops at the edge of the green and takes out his notebook. He draws the three oaks first because they're the thing you notice first. He sketches them quickly, getting the shape of the canopy and the way the trunks slightly lean towards each other. He can always refine the drawing later. Then he works on the well. The house is arranged around the edge, each one slightly different, some with kitchen gardens, some with flower boxes, one with a whole wall covered in climbing roses that have gone a bit wild. He notes the road coming in from the south and the road going out to the east, towards the river that runs throughout the kingdom. He writes, Bream, population approximately 50, three oak trees, ancient, well, blue. Notable, Climbing roses, east wall of the miller's house. Quiet. The inn at Bream is called the Sleeping Fox, and Oswin enters with a tired smile. It's a low building. The ceiling inside is just a few inches above his head, with heavy, dark beams and walls the color of old honey. The innkeeper is a broad, cheerful woman named Kala. She has been expecting him, as the librarian rides ahead of every village on his route. She has already set a place for him at the table nearest the fire. Oswin sets down his satchel with a grateful thud. He has walked 19 miles a day over the uplands and down through the long meadow valley. His feet remember each one of those miles. He sits while Kala brings soup. It's a thick one, dark with herbs and bread on the side that is still warm from the oven. She sets it down without a fuss, which is quite the relief to Oswin. He's not much for ceremony after a long day's walking. He eats slowly, letting the warmth of the food fill him. The fire crackles as the other guests in the inn murmur quietly amongst themselves. A merchant and her assistant go over notes and ledgers. An old couple who appear to be traveling with their grandkids spoil them with toys and presents. And a group of young boys who are most likely out on some grand adventure play at swords in the corner. The smell of the soup, the bread, the wood smoke, the faint sweetness of something baking in the kitchen fills Oswin with peace. After supper, he spreads his maps on the table. This is his favorite part of the day. All those hours of walking, of noting and measuring and squinting at landmarks, now they come together into something he can hold and see. He smooths the large sheet of paper with the flat of his hand, anchors the corner with the soup bowl, anchors the corner. He smooths the large sheet of paper with the flat of his hand, anchors the corners with the soup bowl, the bread plate, and his walking stick. The map of Solon so far is displayed before him. 43 days of walking, and he's covered the southern third of the kingdom. He can see the shape of it beginning to emerge, the way the land rises towards the eastern mountains, the long, flat run of the river valley in the center, and the cluster of villages in the south where the soil is the richest. The roads are beginning to make sense, the way all roads eventually do. They go where the land invites them and where the people need them. He takes out his favorite drawing pen and begins to add today's work. The road from the uplands coming down in a long, gentle curve. The river ford at the foot of the hills where the water runs clear and shallow over white stones. The old stump by the river where he stopped at noon to eat his lunch and watch a family of ducks navigate the current with ease. He even draws a small duck in the margin there, but that's just for himself. The valley with the long grass blowing in the wind, and now Bream itself. He draws the three oaks with care, the way their canopies overlap, the blue well represented by a small circle with a dot, the roads in and out. He labels it in his small, careful handwriting, Bream. He leans back and looks at what he made. There's a particular kind of satisfaction in this that he's never quite been able to explain to anyone who doesn't feel it themselves. The satisfaction of a place being known, being held, being made legible. Every road on this map is a road he has walked. Every village is a village he has sat in, eaten at, asked questions in. The map is not just a picture of the kingdom, it is a record of his attention to it. He rolls the map carefully, ties it with the red ribbon he's always used, and tucks it back into its leather case. Kala brings him a small glass of something warm and golden. It's a local drink, she says, made from honey of the valley bees and a little bit of apple brandy they press here in the autumn. She tells him a bit about the village while she tidies the table, the history of the three oaks, which were planted by three founding families, so many generations ago that no one remembers their name anymore. The important thing to remember is that there were three of them and they were good friends. The well was painted blue by a child years ago as a prank, and somehow it stayed. The miller's roses came from a cutting given by a passing traveler who never gave her name. They quickly took root and flourished in the deep, rich soil of the town. Oswin listens and writes small notes in the margin of his notebook. These are the things that don't appear on maps, the stories underneath the place names. He collects them anyway. Maybe someday there will be a companion volume to his map. When Kala goes back into the kitchen, he sits a while longer by the fire. The flames have settled into low, steady coals, orange and red and pulsing gently. The other guests have gone to bed. The inn is quiet now, except for the fire's soft ticking and the distant sound of the wind outside moving through the valley. Tomorrow, he'll take the eastern road towards the river. The bridge there is an old one, and the librarian has noted in her files that it hums when you cross it at dawn. He's curious about that. He'll have to leave early enough to find out. But that's tomorrow. Tonight, he climbs the stairs to his room, which is small and low ceilinged and smells faintly of lavender, the way rooms in old inns sometimes do. The bed has a quilt on it in a pattern of squares, deep blue and cream, worn soft from years of use. He sets his satchel on the chair by the window, hangs his coat on the hook, takes off his boots slowly, giving his feet some relief, and sets the boots side by side on the floor. He sits at the edge of the bed and opens his notebook one more time. At the top of the fresh page, he writes, Day 43, Bream, all well. Then he closes it. Outside the window, the valley of Solon is dark and soft and very still. The grass moves in the slow wind. Somewhere in the meadow, one of Bream's sheep make a small, contented sound, and then there is quiet. The stars are out, a great many of them, the kind of sky you only get far from cities, and they cast just enough light to see the shape of the three oaks on the green, their enormous shared canopy rounding up against the sky. Oswin lays back on the pillow. His mind turns to the heron he saw this morning at the upland pond, standing so still it might have been painted there. That must be another form of magic, he decided. He thinks about the duck family at the ford and the small drawing he made in the map's margin, and how there are 43 more days of this ahead of him, and 43 after that, and then 43 more, and more, and more. A whole kingdom waiting to be known, and the thought settles over him like a quilt. He closes his eyes, and you can close yours as well, letting yourself drift now to wherever the sleep is taking you tonight. Let it be somewhere gentle, somewhere with long grass and old trees and roads that go easy through the land. All is well.